Yo, 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 what up, everybody? It's your boy, Jewelz, and we are back with our second podcast video. And today we have the one and the only, the average sniper. So thank you so much for joining us today
For
on
sure,
the,
man. Thanks for having me on here.
yeah. So, so you saw the first podcast, right? So,
I did, and I have to say that when MK said she didn't know what Goldeneye was, I wasn't on the treadmill, I was on the elliptical. I don't know how technical people are about their cardio machines, but it's basically like a treadmill robot that looks scary. And I literally fell off and hit my face, and the girl next to me was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And then I just pretended to do push-ups. I was like, I can't believe MK didn't know what Goldeneye was. So yes, I did see the first podcast.
yeah. Um, I obviously I'm gonna have to go get an N64 just so that we can play it together because
I
she
mean,
needs
oh
to
my
have
God,
that
I never
experience.
even owned an N64, but I can't tell you how many times I played GoldenEye at my friend's house. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
well, she was probably like 6 at the time when we were playing, the GoldenEye.
It don't matter. She was
Um,
alive.
so yeah, I got these questions I'm gonna that we're gonna go through. But yeah, so hopefully it's something that you can answer. Take your time, whatever you need.
Yeah, you
Uh,
ask me whatever you want, man. I'm an open book today.
all right.
I'm an open book, and I already sent you a huge list of things you don't ask. No, I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
yeah, yeah. All right. So the first question that I have is, what's the best game you've played on every console you've owned, including PC?
Well, my first console was actually a PC. My dad brought home a Commodore computer when I was just four and a half years old, and it was back before hard drives even existed. You had to put these big 5.5-inch floppy drives in, put the tab down, and then you actually had to type a DOS command because Windows didn't exist. So I think my favorite game that I played on DOS was on a DOS computer was Alley Cat. It's like the only one I can remember. Like there's some other ones I play, but the only one I can remember really is Alley Cat. And then there was a huge jump from there. I actually didn't. My parents didn't allow me to own a console when I was a kid.
Okay.
It wasn't allowed. My parents were very strict, very religious, and it's weird some of the things they let me do and some of the things they didn't let me do. So, for example, they let me play Wolfenstein and kill Nazis when I was like 5 years old,
Okay.
but a console where I could play Mario was just not allowed.
It's understandable. I get it.
Yeah, yeah, understandable. So my gaming history is kind of weird. I've always liked gaming, but it's hard for me to remember all the games I played. Most of them I played on PC. So I would say probably one of my favorite game on PC was one I played with my brother called Wacky Races, and it was a rip off of Mario Kart. And it's just Google it sometime. Wacky Races. It's hilarious. It's like instead of having like Mario characters, it's got like a moose and a cow and like a giraffe, and it's the same shit. Instead of shooting turtle shells, you like pick things up and shoot them at the other players, and it has all kinds of different modes. So me and my brother would play that nonstop because back before people even knew what online gaming and multiplayer gaming was. We had our computers on the LAN on the network, and we were playing freaking Wacky Races and some other
Okay.
fun games too. But Wacky Races probably stands out as my favorite. And then my grandma had a Super Nintendo, and of course, my favorite game. Man. Well, it's hard to say because we would only be able to play it for 2 weeks. We would go on vacation to my grandma's house for 2 weeks out of the year, and we would slam as much Super Nintendo in as we could because we didn't have one. So I would say Mario's probably top dog, and then after that, Battletoads, and then we had Bruce Lee Enter the Dragon, and we got down on
Woo! Oh
that.
my God, you are bringing it
Bringing
back.
back the memories,
Oh
huh?
my goodness, Battletoads too. Oh my
And then there was a huge jump. There was a big time in my life where I didn't game when I was Probably once I got into my teenage years and started hanging out outside of the house and got a little more freedom. Not that my parents gave me freedom, but I was getting older and just kind of disobeying them and doing whatever I wanted, you know. There was a long period where I really didn't game, but I have to mention this one game that pretty much kickstarted my entire like mentality about social media. Back in the days before social media existed, there was this chat room called Worlds Away, and it was a two-dimensional chat room, and you walked your character around. It was in like the Windows 98 days, so we're talking like late 90s. And the first time I played it because me and my grandma would meet up on there. Me, my brother, and my grandma would meet up. She lived in Florida, we lived in Indiana. We would go in this two-dimensional chat room, walk our characters around, talk to each other, and I know it's not a game, but I got so into it, it was like a game for me. You like saved up currency in this place, and every hour you made like 60 tokens, and we would try to find ways to stay online. And I learned so much about how computers work, and I taught myself HTML, and I designed websites um, and for this Worlds Away chat room that I was doing, and it was so fucking awesome. And I didn't know if I was more into learning the HTML for the websites or more into the chat room. And then yeah, after that, I pretty much got into when I was 16. I had the most popular Jazz Jackrabbit 2 gaming website on the internet. Before social media existed, my website was getting thousands of hits a day. People were uploading custom levels. Jazz Jackrabbit 2 is a fun game, but I didn't really play it. I just kind of made a website for it because I saw an opportunity to do that. And that was awesome. So I guess when I was 16 years old, I kind of transitioned from like being a gamer to being like a social media or a content creator. Back in those days, we didn't have YouTube, we didn't have Facebook. You had to make your own website and go from there. And I always had a Jazz Jackrabbit 2 website because I did like the game, but the main site that everybody went to, the owner stopped updating it. And then my site became the most popular one. So at 16 years old, I was getting thousands of hits a day, and I didn't have time to keep up with all the levels people were submitting and test them. And I finally just had to quit because I was going to school, I was working a job, and then of course, fast forward later in my life, we get to the Xbox 360. I bought that just so I could play Gears of War and Dead or Alive 4, which is basically just a bunch of scantily clad girls fighting each other. It was awesome.
Yeah. I had it as well.
Who did it, man? I like to use the ninja and do the combo where he would counter you and then throw you up in the air, throw you up in the air again, and then spin you down. If you could pull that combo off, you'd take like 75% of the opponent's health. But
And also the ninja looked the dopest, right? Like if you're gonna play a fighting game, you get a ninja. It's like you're gonna use the ninja.
I'm sorry, the girls were attractive, but even the guys were hot on that game too. Let's just be honest. Okay. But yeah, so I made a massive jump from basically PC, Super Nintendo to Xbox 360. Gears of War, definitely my favorite game for Xbox 360. I did start playing Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, but that wasn't until that was like 2006, I think, that Gears of War and Xbox 360 was pretty popular. I didn't really start getting into Call of Duty and first-person shooter games until like 2009 when Modern Warfare 2 came out. And then after that, of course, Xbox One, PUBG, my favorite game on Xbox One, hands down. I just got tired of playing with the controller, but I'm sure you're going to ask me about that later, about PC and PUBG and all that stuff. So, yeah, I think that answers that question. Those are some of my favorite games from my console experiences and early PC experiences.
Oh man. Oh, okay. So before we get to the next question, I want to let you know. So back in for the Xbox 360, one day I went to Burger King with my homeboy, right? Or like two of my homeboys, and we get up to the screen and we order, and then it says like if you order something, then you get this like this Burger King game demo, right? So I was like,
I remember that stuff. Yeah,
so then I was like, okay, yeah, let me get that. You know what I'm saying? So then I get that, and then I I get home because I was the only one of my friends that had an Xbox 360. So I get home and I pop it in, and it's literally the Burger King version of Mario Kart. A Burger King version of Mario Kart.
Like the Wacky Races was the ripoff. There was a Burger King ripoff too.
Oh my god! But it was so much fun. It had like I think it had like 3 different maps. It was just like a demo, right? So like it was only one game mode, and it was just like it was actually a lot of fun. And since like at the time, like you obviously want to play the newest console, you don't want to go back and play. You don't want to go back and play Mario Kart on the N64.
Right, and especially on Xbox 360, because that's the first console where games were starting to actually look like realistic. You were like, whoa, this looks like real life. Of course, you don't want to go back and play a cartoon,
Right. Yeah, so I played that for a while. It was fun. I liked it, but yeah. I can't believe they made a Burger King game. All right, so
Burger King used to be the shit, man. Then McDonald's all of a sudden took over. You never heard about Burger King anymore.
I prefer Burger King over the Big King.
Breakfast.
Oh, I would take a Burger King burger over McDonald's any day.
I've never had a Whopper before.
All right. I guess we're just gonna end the interview right here.
Well, I've also never had a Big Mac before.
I am gonna have to. I mean,
I worked at McDonald's for 3 years.
So you're like a double cheeseburger type of guy.
Yeah, quarter pounder with cheese is my favorite.
Okay. I mean, that's better than the Big Mac anyway, so it's all good.
You know, the only reason I never had the Big Mac is because I used to make them all day long, and I hated the sauce. I hated the smell of it. I hated the taste of it. I was like, I'm not going to have a Big Mac. I don't like the sauce. That's the whole point of the Big Mac is the sauce. I was like, I don't like it.
Yeah. And it had like the thinner patties. All right. Yeah, we can talk about food all day if we wanted to. But all right. So where did you get your YouTube name? And like what made you go with that name? Like is there what behind it? Like what's
the average sniper? Well, before that, my name was Eximum. I made that when I was just a little kid. It was a combination of the words extreme and maximum.
Okay.
And as I started playing, as I started getting more into like social media, so when I started my YouTube channel, I wasn't called the Average Sniper. That's not how it started. It changed to that. I was Eximum Studios. You can't see those videos anymore because they're so old, but it didn't used to be the Average Sniper.
Okay.
So Eximum was just the name I came up with when I was a kid. But as I got older and I continued to game and I continued to create content, I came to the realization that most content creators were either incredibly gifted or they were doing some kind of cheat or exploit in order to get these amazing, insane gameplays, very similar to what you and MK were talking about in the first one. I decided I didn't really want to go down that route. I've never been a cheater. In school and my personal life, even when I do things that I consider morally wrong, I still consider cheating like to be at the very top of the list. Even if I were to like start taking steroids for my workouts, I would do it through like a doctor and blood work and crap like that. I hate to do things that are like illegitimate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got the feeling way back in the day, I was playing Advanced Warfare in 2015, I think 2014, maybe. Yep. And I thought to myself, I'm never going to be able to put up content like these phase guys. I'm fairly certain that 90% of the shit they put up is set up anyway, because the enemy's just like, you remember those quick scope videos? It's like, dude, what the fuck? I would shoot the fuck out of these guys if I was in the lobby. They're just standing there letting them trick shot. They're like, what the fuck is it? Who what the fuck? And I was like, I'm never going to do that. So I got to come up with something where I can just be an average everyday player. Obviously I know that the games I play, I'm pretty good at. I'm not trying to say that I'm average at every game. Their average player has a negative kill death ratio, so I'm above average. But I knew I wasn't a pro gamer. I wasn't an esports pro gamer. I didn't have any room for competition, and I also didn't want to put out a false image that I had to live up to, like, oh, I have to drop like fucking 50 kill games and quick scope everybody just to get people to watch my shit. Right. So I thought about it for a little bit, and I was like, if I name myself Average Sniper, I get 2 benefits. One, I don't have to live up to anything. I can upload whatever I want, and if anybody talks shit, I can say, dude, my name's Average Sniper, not Super Esports Pro. What the fuck do you want?
Yeah.
And the second reason is because when I would wreck a lobby, you're getting killed by a guy named Average, and he just decimated you and your whole team, and it's kind of funny,
Yeah.
it's kind of ironic. So that's how I came up with the name. I thought to myself, I'm never going to be a pro gamer. I just don't have the time for it. It's not my career. I love gaming, and I want to be able to relate to your average person that games. There's a lot of people out there who feel the same way as me, and they watch these crazy videos and they're like, I could never do that. I just want to watch somebody that's good at the game and that kind of plays the same way I do. And that was my whole idea. And ever since I implemented that, that's kind of just started the snowball effect on my channel of getting more subscribers and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I named myself Average Sniper.
Well,
so I could wreck people and they could be like, I just got killed by average player.
Well, I know it's a big name. Like everybody knows that name now. So like if you kill them, they know who it is. They know that you're above average.
Well, maybe now, but back in the day when I had 2,000 subscribers, and quite honestly, I'm very transparent with my YouTube channel. I mean, I might have 200,000 subs, but I mean, a lot of them come from games I don't even play anymore, So, I mean, I think of my channel more like a 30 or 40,000 subscriber channel, I mean, it's nice to have the YouTube plaque and everything, and I'm glad my channel is still going and I get so much joy out of doing it. But I don't think and you already know this just because you know me, I did not think of myself as like a big time YouTuber in the least. And you always get mad at me. You're like, you need to do more, and you should take it more seriously. And I'm like, bro, I just want to aim my gun, shoot people, and upload videos. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm always like the business mind that's like,
yeah, I know.
Like I think I be pushing people. It's probably not a good thing, but I just
I mean,
I just want to see people do what they love.
It's good. Just everybody thinks different,
Right.
That's it. And the real reason for me is because if I started treating it more like a business than a hobby, I would hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would become work.
Right.
I don't want it to become work. It already feels like that to a certain degree, because obviously you get a certain amount of subscribers, you start making money, and then all of a sudden you're like, ooh, well, the more I play, the more money I make. So the incentive changes from just, oh, I'm having fun and people are watching me, to, ooh, I'm having fun, people are watching me, and I'm making money. So now I feel more pressure on me to stream or put out as much video content as I can. And if I took it any further than that and started like promoting a whole bunch of merch and like a Patreon and all kinds of stuff like that, then it would kind of just become like a second job to me. And I honestly think I would lose all the passion I have left for gaming.
Right.
I don't want that to happen.
Okay. All right. So when you first started your channel, did you ever think that you would make it to the level that you're at as a content creator?
No, I just started it so I could show my friends gameplay, and YouTube was becoming popular. So I thought maybe some people will click on my videos and I'll get some subscribers. But I mean, I never grinded it in a manner that people grind nowadays. Like when people start a YouTube channel from ground zero, they really grind it. They try to get like the perfect logos, the perfect intros, the perfect gameplay. That wasn't me. I just uploaded whatever the fuck I wanted. And if people watched it, great. If not, I just shared it with my friends and like, look at this game. And somehow I got lucky and people started subscribing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I didn't put effort into it. I did, but I didn't grind it the way people do nowadays just to get subscribers and make that money. I always did what I wanted to do.
Right.
And put that out there.
Okay.
It's a never ending coffee.
All right. So I think I already know the answer to this, but I have to ask it anyway. What game have you put the most hours into? And like the one game that you played from like day till night, and like you couldn't wait to get up in the morning to play it again?
Call of Duty.
Which one?
Kidding. It's Hello Kitty Island Adventure.
I knew it.
No, it's obviously it's really a contest between, if I take all the Call of Duties that I ever played and then put them beside PUBG, the hours that I sunk into Call of Duty in general, like every year I would get the new one. So just Call of Duty in general beside PUBG is almost exactly the same. There was a time when I would go to bed thinking about PUBG and wake up thinking about PUBG, go to bed thinking about Call of Duty, wake up thinking about Call of Duty. But let's be honest, after so many years of playing the exact same thing, you start to kind of lose that, which is why I'm always saying I can't wait for the next big thing. Because for the first couple years of PUBG, I mean, Battle Royale was lit. It was like, bro, I can't live my day without getting a chicken dinner. I'm going to start gaming in the morning and I ain't going to quit until I get at least one win. And if I don't get that one win, my girlfriend's going to be pissed at me because all day long, I'm just going to be like, fuck, I lost again. Fuck, I lost again. But I was into it, like really into it. And I was the same way with Call of Duty. Like I really would grind for those good Call of Duty games. You have like 10 or 11 shitty games, and then you just have one game where you just wreck the whole lobby and like drop a nuke. I mean, I was into that, but Battle Royale kind of ruined that for me because once Battle Royale came out, then the whole respawn system just lost its luster,
It did. So, well, while we're on the topic of Call of Duty, what is the best Call of Duty in your mind?
I think the one I had the most fun with was Black Ops 2 because but I think it was more about the friends I played with than the actual game. Like, don't get me wrong, I love that Call of Duty. I love the mechanics. I love the sniping. I love everything about it. But I also remember when Black Ops 2 came out, I had a dedicated group of friends and we would play for no less than 4 hours a day. And it was a great social experience. And I think that's why I always think back to Black Ops 2. But as far as Call of Duty in general goes, I think Modern Warfare 3 because Modern Warfare 2 is probably a little better, but honestly, I sunk way more playtime into MW3 because I kind of got into Call of Duty when Modern Warfare 2 was like halfway done. And then I started playing Black Ops, and then MW3 came out, and then I think Black Ops 2 came out. But yeah, so I would say MW3, as far as like gun mechanics and gameplay goes, is my favorite. But as far as the most fun that I had, probably Black Ops 2 because of that social experience and that group of friends I had. I still have some of them, me and some of those friends still talk, and that was just crazy waking up every day and knowing there was going to be at least 2 or 3 people online that you could just jump on with anytime and get going.
Yeah, man. So, yeah. Black Ops 2, I mean, like, so that was like what, 2012, 2013, something like that.
Yeah, I think it came out. Didn't it come out at the end of 2011 and we played through 2012? I don't know. I feel like 2013 was MW3. I don't know.
I think that I'm not sure. I know that I played Black Ops 2 until the PS4 came out.
So I mean, it was definitely around that 2012, 2013 time. Yeah.
So I mean, like the gunplay, just everything. I mean, I literally like I would, and this is crazy because if I would have started a YouTube channel back then, who knows where I would be? Because I would literally come home from work. I would go work out, and then I would play from like 6 to 11 o'clock at night. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why it was my schedule. I would work, lift weights, and then Call of Duty.
Right. And I mean, like, I'd be putting up like, 40 and 2s and 37 and 1s. You know what I'm saying? Just like crazy gameplay. And I don't know. That game before PUBG came out, that was my most played game. I mean, I've never logged so many hours into a game before PUBG.
That was probably my most played one too. Yeah.
And also, what was I gonna say about that? I can't remember. I'll circle back to it. I know I'll remember in a little bit. But all right. So, what made you want to become a content creator?
I've always been a content creator. Remember that Worlds Away chat room I told you about?
Yep.
That's what kickstarted it for me. So I've been doing content creation since before there was a term for content creation. If it nowadays it's social media, but when I was growing up, it was GeoCities. I don't know if you recognize that, but GeoCities was a place where you build a free website. That was kind of like the Facebook of the late 90s, early 2000s. They had Yahoo, GeoCities, different places where you could build a free website and create your own identity. I got really good at it. I taught myself over the course of 2 years. I taught myself the entire HTML language, which nowadays HTML is still used, but it's just kind of like the backbone. It's kind of like how DOS is to Windows now. It's like it's still there, but nobody really uses it. website design today is totally different. But back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I could literally design a whole website in Notepad by typing the HTML codes. And I was really good at it. And in fact, I even had people pay me to design websites when I was just like 15, 16 years old, and I
Jeez.
was doing graphic design and all that stuff. So I've always had a passion for content creating. In fact, I would say my passion for gaming and content creation kind of go hand in hand, because my brother was always more of a gamer than me. He played games nonstop, but he never did any content. He was just a pure gamer.
Mhm.
I, on the other hand, I wanted to play games and share that experience with other people somehow. And content creation was the way to do that, regardless of whether it was social media or making your own website, whatever, that was the way to go. So obviously, when social media became more prevalent, Facebook, YouTube, instead of making websites, I kind of moved over to that direction. I was like, well, now the internet's faster. People are recording videos of their gameplay. I want to do that. I want to see what it feels like. So, I went out and I got a cheap capture card and I hooked it up to the cheap computer I already had. And I bought some Adobe editing software and I just played around with it. And I loved it just as much as I loved learning HTML back in the day. So I would say being a content creator is just kind of in my blood. I just like to share my experience. If I'm gaming, I'm recording. If I'm not recording, I'm not gaming. To me, it's not only about the game, it's about being able to share the experience that gives you so much joy with other people. If I didn't have the ability to share what I do when I game, I don't even know if I'd be a gamer. So content creation and gaming for me are very intertwined.
Okay. So is there anybody that inspired you to start, like that you saw doing it before you actually decided to take the leap on YouTube? Like, is there anybody that you had watched and you were like,
Specifically YouTube. No, not really. I mean, just the old Call of Duty guys. Like, remember White Boy 7th Street
yeah,
and fuck, there's some the FaZe Clan. I mean, I know it sounds stupid, but watching the FaZe Clan stuff, even though I thought most of it was fake, really pumped you up to play. You got to admit that. I mean, you would watch those guys quick scope like 10 people in a row, and you'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna try that," and then you just
right,
go get raped all day. But
exactly. So when
so I was watching those kind of things and all those old school Call of Duty people that I can't even remember all their names of now.
right.
But that's kind of what inspired me. I'm like, I want to do what these guys do. I might not be on their level. I might not be as good, but I want to dip my foot in the water and just give it a try. And I just kind of fell in love with doing it. I was like recording gameplay and then editing the games that were good and uploading them and putting a little twist. I had a whole series in Call of Duty called You Camping Fuck that I did for like 3 years. And all I did was I would go into matches and I would pick a camping spot and I would kill a couple people on the enemy team and they would just keep running back and I would keep killing them and I would like drop nukes and stuff and they would get so mad. And I had a whole series just dedicated to doing that called You Camping Fuck.
Toxic ass.
I know, right? But it was fun.
So when I first started, what like got me wanting to start, I used to watch 402 Thunder. You know who that is?
Yeah, that's one of the ones I was trying to remember. Yeah, he
Okay.
still does Call of Duty
Right,
stuff.
right. Um, and then also there's this guy that played all the Battlefield games, right? So he played like Battlefield Hardline, and so I actually found this dude playing Battlefield Hardline when I found you playing Battlefield Hardline.
Ah.
So he's a smaller creator than you, but he was a black content creator, and you know what I'm saying. Like obviously, like if I see somebody that's black doing it, it's like okay, well maybe I can do it. You know what I'm saying? His name
Right.
was Scuddy Reed, and
That sounds really familiar.
yeah, I mean, if you've seen like Battlefield 4 or Battlefield Hardline, you've probably seen his name like for like the YouTube or whatever. He made
That's
great
probably
content.
where I'm remembering it from. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I kind of I was like sitting there like these guys are doing it. They're pretty funny. Like I'm like, I think I can do it. And then like you said, I went and got my Elgato HD 6 or what is it? Which one? What was
Wow. I
yeah,
started
it's like
with
the
like this
1860.
weird. I started with like this super weird off-brand capture card I'd never even heard of before. It
Okay.
certainly wasn't Elgato. In
Well,
fact, it was so bad I could only record 3 minutes at a time before the audio would get out of sync, and I'd have to pause and start recording and then combine all the clips into one.
wow. Holy
It was
crap.
horrible.
Yeah. I
But that's so you got into it pretty much the same way as me then. I mean, you saw some people doing it and you were like, I want to do that too.
right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you might have already answered this, but what game made you fall in love with gaming?
Was it a specific game or was it just when I was a kid, we were literally allowed to do nothing. So gaming was kind of like an escape for us. Like I said, my parents were very freaky religious. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, but just for the backstory, freaky religious, crazy rules, weren't allowed to have friends, weren't allowed to go outside except in our own yard, but we were allowed to play games. So that's probably it probably wasn't just like one game that got me into it.
Yeah.
It was the fact that gaming was all we were allowed to do for a long time. So it's just kind of like gaming was just a part of my upbringing, I guess.
Right.
Now, what game really made me like want to start doing content creation and stuff like that, as far as YouTube goes, was definitely Call of Duty. Once I started playing Call of Duty, I was like in love with it. I was like, and that was back when everybody thought nowadays Call of Duty is just, it's been around for so long, you know, but back then it was pretty fresh in like 2009, 2010. It had been out for a while. It was just starting to get good. If you didn't play Call of Duty, then what the fuck were you doing with your life kind of deal? But you know, that's what really made me want to start like making content. But like get like I was like, I used to do Jazz Jackrabbit too, and I used to make my own websites. I guess let me try the YouTube thing since I like this Call of Duty game so much, you know.
Yeah. Um all right. So when did you know it was time to switch to PC gaming and why?
Well, that was pretty recent, actually, as recent as a couple years ago, because I played PUBG Xbox all the way up to a couple years ago. But I've always my job is an IT consultant, as you know. So I've always been very adept with computers. I know how computers work. I know how to troubleshoot them. So it was only a matter of time before I built my own gaming PC. And I played console for so long, I started seeing lots of videos where people were playing on PC. And I thought, I want to try that. You know, like I'm really good with PC, but I've never really played a shooter game on it since the 90s, Wolfenstein. And you didn't even use a mouse on that. It was all keyboard, you know. So
Yeah, the
it was crazy.
arrow keys.
Yeah, use the arrow keys and then there was no like WASD and it was just arrow keys and like control alt space bar. Very clunky movement, but it's surprising how good you get at it when that's all you can do. So
Yeah.
I needed a new live streaming PC. So I ordered a PC good enough to live stream. And then I tried a game on it. I tried Battlefield 4 and I played around with keyboard and mouse and I liked it so much that I decided to order a better graphics card because the graphics card that came in it was total bullshit. You know, it was like 2 gigs and like you could barely run the game on low settings. So I ordered a GTX 1080. I threw it in. It barely fit in that little live streaming computer that I had. And man, that thing got hot. But I started playing games on PC and I switched back and forth between PC and console for years. But eventually it got to the point where I was only playing PUBG. That was the only game I was playing. And switching back and forth between PC and Xbox, there's such a different play style. It was ruining my muscle memory, and I felt like it was affecting my ability to create good content. So I had to make a decision, and it really came down to, am I going to play PUBG on Xbox or am I going to play it on PC? And I thought to myself, my YouTube has always been about doing what I love to do. And because I do what I love to do, I think that shines through and people see that. If I'm not having a good time, nobody watching is having a good time. So I thought I really don't have that much fun playing on Xbox anymore. I just like the precision of using a mouse. And I'm not going to be one of those guys that gets a keyboard and mouse adapter and just drops bombs on people, because that's like cheating, you know. Like, I learned keyboard and mouse mostly by having one of those adapters and putting it on my console, and I was getting owned by people with controller. But once I got good at it, I realized, I was like, holy crap, if you're good at keyboard and mouse, this is cheating. So I unhooked it. I never used it again on my console because I was kind of pissed at myself for not realizing that. But at the same time, I was mostly getting owned because I sucked at keyboard and mouse anyway. But when I got good at it, I was like, wow, I have a serious advantage over controller players. So I'm not going to do this, especially if you do it in a game like PUBG where there's no aim assist for people with controllers. You are just, it's like having an aimbot. So I thought, I really want to play keyboard and mouse. I love that I built a gaming PC that's really nice. I can play at this high frame rate and I don't have to use a controller anymore. And that's what makes me happy. And that's what I want to do. So that's what I did. It was all for me, you know, because I just couldn't take switching back and forth anymore. You know, people are like, man, you've been playing PUBG on Xbox for years and you still can't aim like this guy. And I'm like, that's because I fucking hate using a controller. I want to play it.
Yeah, you were probably only playing on controller because I was begging you to play Xbox, and yeah.
Well, not only that, but even before I met you, a lot of my friends wanted to get into PUBG, but they didn't have gaming PCs. So they got into PUBG and then they got gaming PCs, like Remy, you know, like Remy and Gary and Seth. Those guys didn't have gaming PCs when they started playing PUBG. But after I sold them on the glory of PC Master Race and the high frame rate and everything, they eventually got them. And then, you know, I really didn't have too many people that still played it on console anymore.
Yeah.
So I was like, and I pretty much at that point, I was just playing solos. So I was like, I'm going to PC. And I'm glad I did, because there's a lot more cheaters on PC, but honestly, pretty much all games are going cross-platform now.
Yeah.
So even the console players got to deal with the cheaters. It doesn't matter what platform you play on now, you got to deal with it.
For real. All right. So what is the best BR you've ever played and why? And it's like, I know that you put a lot of time into PUBG, but I'm saying there might be another game, Warzone maybe, that you really enjoyed, but you just stopped playing due to hackers or some reason. Like, is there something that it can be PUBG. I'm not saying it can't be PUBG, but
Right,
like,
right.
is, you know, like all around
You're saying
wise,
honest opinion,
Yes.
regardless of how long you played, regardless how popular the game got. What was your favorite battle royale I've ever played?
Yes.
Okay. Um, yeah, it's PUBG. It really is. You know, I played all the other ones. I played Blackout. I played Fortnite. I played Warzone. And honestly, I think the reason that I like PUBG so much is because the skill ceiling is so high. And there's not skill-based matchmaking. There used to be, but now the player count's down a little bit, so they can't really use that anymore. Um, but all the other battle royales I've played seem to put some kind of twist on it. I just want a fucking nitty gritty, realistic battle royale where everybody's on the same level. There's no meta weapons, you know, and I'm not even talking about cheaters or hackers now. I'm just talking about gameplay. If everybody's on the same level, you know, you're not thrown into skill-based lobbies where you have to fight people that have played just as long as you. I really feel like battle royale should be a mix-up jumble, because I think about it in real life. What if you woke up one day and you were on a plane and they said, jump, survive, kill, or be killed, and pushed you out the plane?
Yeah.
You don't know. You have to rely on your own experience to do that. There might be people there who have no idea what they're doing. There might be people there just like you, and you have to use your own experience to win. And there could be fucking combat veterans thrown in the mix that know exactly what they're doing, but are just as susceptible to get killed by somebody they don't see as anybody else. And I think that's what Battle Royale is all about. And that's why I always get upset when I say I don't like skill-based matchmaking and people say, oh, that's just because you want to kill lobbies full of noobs. No, then I wouldn't have any fun playing the game. There has to be some kind of a challenge, you know. I want to have no idea who I'm. If I know that every player, for example, if I know that every single player I'm going up against is on the same skill level as me, I'm going to approach those gunfights very carefully, because if I make one mistake, they're going to kill me, because that's how I play. If the guy I'm fighting makes one mistake, he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
You know, he sticks his head out at the wrong time, it's over. I like to play a fucking video game.
Yeah.
I want to go crazy sometimes. I want to try and jump shot somebody through a window sometimes. And if everybody's on this sweaty skill-based matchmaking level, you never get to do any fun shit. And sometimes it backfires. And that's what makes it so good. You're like, fuck, I shouldn't have tried that. That guy's a pro. Oh, time for a new game, you know?
Right.
Or then sometimes it does work. And you're like, whoa, I can't believe I pulled that off. And that I've only got that nitty gritty experience in PUBG. Every other game I played, while there have been some really good battle royales, they always throw in skill-based matchmaking or a meta gun or some twist or some superpower that you have to have. And that's fine for some people. But for me, I just want to land and have the ability to fight with whatever I can scrounge up. You know, I don't want loadouts. I don't want anything like that. And PUBG is the only game that gave me that experience. Have I had fun playing other battle royales? Most definitely. But the question was, what was my favorite?
Right.
That's PUBG. And that's why.
Yeah, I'd have to say I agree with everything that you're saying. I just and
It's all
like
about preference, you know.
well,
It's
yeah,
all about
no. I mean, like we talked about this like a lot. Like 2017, the game comes out, and I rushed to go buy a PC for this game. You know what I'm saying? And like, and then when it came out for console, because I was so used to a controller in my hand, right? Like it just came natural, like any shooter game, right? Like even you've complimented me on my accuracy on like PUBG.
Well, the first time I came into your stream, I was like, damn, dude, you can shoot. And you're like, I'm not even doing good right now.
So yeah, and so like the nitty gritty and you know what? Maybe the falling out of love with PUBG for me is just the fact that I don't play it on console anymore, and I'm not that great on PC. Because like if I jump on console,
I can understand that, yeah.
and I because I can drive around, I can like I don't make mistakes on console. You know what I'm saying? It's just if I get killed, you're just a better player than I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you on console is like me, how I feel on PC. You know, like if I lose a gunfight on PC, I'm like, well, I made a mistake, or that guy's just better than me. It's not because I was clunky, you know, or figuring things out. I know what I'm doing. You know?
Right. And yeah, I guess
it.
I could probably put in more time with PUBG PC, but it's like I would rather have a controller in my hand. Even though I'm getting good with keyboard and mouse, I'd rather have a controller in my hand. But yeah, so I agree PUBG is great. I just wish that they I don't know, would make some kind of adjustments to their mechanics and stuff. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So so what's the best role-playing game that you've ever played?
Have I ever played a role-playing game? I don't think I have, honestly. Okay. I don't think I've ever played an RPG. I've never played an MMO. I've never played an RPG. Just never really felt like I had time to get into that. I've always looked at those games as kind of like having a second life, because you have to learn so much about it, and you have to learn about all the equipment you're carrying, and like most of them you have to learn like how to cast spells, and you know, it's just so it's so deep. And when I wanted a gaming experience, I wanted something simple, because my real life was already super complicated and super stressful. Without going into it, I've always had a pretty stressful like IRL life. You know what I mean? So when I game, it's to get away from that mostly, you know, and it's not, I'm not saying my life is awful. I'm just saying I've always had a full-time job. I've always been doing some kind of school or learning. I've always had to rely on myself to make money. I don't have anybody taking care of me. So I actually have a real life that I have to worry about. And I don't need a game where I basically have to treat it like it's a second life. I just want to sign on and have some fun. You know, I don't want to really take the time to learn anything new. Now, on the other hand, if some RPG came out that was like really, really good, that like I would take the time to learn it, obviously, but I would have to have like that yearning. And I've never had that yearning. I've always just wanted to sign on and play something very simple. Even when I was a kid, we would play games like the Wacky Races, which is just like the Mario Kart. We would play Descent, which is like two spaceships just fighting each other. It was all came down to like PvP combat. I'm just a huge fan of PvP combat. It's simple, and it does give you competition because you're going up against other real players. But at the same time, you really don't have to learn that much. Even though PUBG has a super high skill ceiling, in the end, it's about looting, placement, and how good is your aim. Any more than that, and I'm kind of like, nah,
Yeah. Yeah. I wish that you had like played Uncharted. I honestly I think that you would absolutely love that
Well, I
game.
heard that that's one of the best games of like all time. So,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
I know that you've played some of those games, and I mean that's a single player game. I've never really been into single player games either. Honestly, I just get super bored.
Okay.
Like, but that's my personality. I get super bored watching movies, and I know you're not like that at all. Like,
No.
I will the way I watch movies, and you're gonna hate me for this.
Oh,
The way I
jeez.
watch movies is I watch them while I eat, and when I'm done eating, I push the pause button. It might take me 5 days to watch one movie. You know, that's just how
That's
I
not
am.
true because when you came up to visit, we watched
That's different. That was I was on vacation. People that are on vacation are act differently, and they're more relaxed than they are when they're working. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
when I'm on vacation, I'm more of a chill mood. I can sit down and go to the movies and watch a movie and eat Reese's and throw the empty wrappers back in the bag.
Oh God. So
Yeah.
for those who don't know the story, when Average came up to visit me, like I bought just all this candy, all this food, right? And we were watching what was that movie called? It was called like
That superhero movie. It was the Shazam. Was it Shazam?
no, it was like something burn. Brightburn. Brightburn.
Brightburn. Yeah, about
Yeah.
the Superman, the evil Superman.
Yeah. So we watched Brightburn and Average is tearing up some Reese's peanut butter cups. Who knew that he liked them as much as I do? And then
They're the best, man. I wish I could still eat them every day.
so
But before I lost weight, I would go to bed with a bag of Reese's,
yeah,
and every night I would eat like half that bag. I would just randomly wake up,
they're so
go
good.
back to sleep.
They're so good. So Average like was eating them, right? And then like I didn't, obviously I'm watching the movie, so I'm not really paying attention. So then like I could have I think it was like after he left and I went to go grab like some Reese's peanut butter cups and I opened the bag and it was like wrappers from the Reese's peanut butter cups. I was like, motherfucker.
You know why? Because the whole reason I did that is because it was just a habit. Like when I'm laying in bed, I don't want to toss the wrappers on the floor and have to clean them up. So just like half asleep, I'll eat it and just put the wrapper back in the bag, grab another one, wrapper back. That way, because I don't like a mess.
Right.
So I wasn't doing it to like fuck with you, but it did turn out pretty hilarious.
Yeah, because
Actually.
I'm sitting there thinking I'm gonna go have some Reese's peanut butter cups, and there was like 3 left in there, but there's a whole bunch of wrappers. I'm like, son of a bitch. Oh
Yeah, that
man.
was hilarious.
All right, so what's the best video game movie you've ever seen? And when I say video game movie, I mean like
Like a
Ready.
movie based on a video game, or
No, so we'll get into that. It's like Ready Player One, or do you remember The Wiz? Fred Savage back in the day.
barely remember it, but I
Okay.
do remember it. Yeah.
Like a video, like a game, video game movie like that.
It's hard for me to think of one off the top of my head. Every time somebody asks me like what my favorite movie is, I always draw a blank until people start naming off movies, and I'm like, that one's my favorite. That one's my favorite. That one's my favorite. That one's my favorite. But Ready Player One was a good one. I'm sure I've watched some movies before that were good, but Ready Player One stands out in my mind. And then we had that recent Ryan Reynolds movie. What was the name of that? Where he was the
Oh
NPC.
yeah.
Yeah, I really
Guy.
liked that one actually.
What was it called?
Um,
Oh, Free Guy.
Free Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Free Guy. Yeah. That one was really good. I didn't think I'd like it because I don't really play games that have like NPC characters in it. Although I followed it easily. I mean, it's a movie, so they try to make it even for people that don't play games so they can understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But this isn't a movie, but I'm gonna say The Witcher because I've never played The Witcher before, but that Netflix series was fucking awesome.
Was it? See,
I
MK said
really
that we
liked
need
it.
to watch it now, and we
Oh
haven't
man,
started
I
watching
haven't
it yet.
watched season 2 yet, but season 1 I was hooked, Like
Okay.
I've never played the Witcher video game. I know what it is, I know what it's about. I don't know all the ins and outs and the caveats and everything about it, but I know what it is. It's a fantasy role-playing game where you fight monsters, and there's a lot more to it than that, but that's basically the idea they use for the Netflix series. Um, Other than that, I would have to say if we're talking movies, I mean the whole Marvel Avengers. I mean that can be considered a video game movie, right?
It could.
The Avengers do.
It
I mean
could.
they have the Avengers game and everything,
Yeah.
and I would say the Avengers is probably my favorite series of movies. Some of them I actually thought were kind of boring. It was just like too much action for me. But the last
Like
few
what?
movies they made, um, like, well, first off, I didn't even watch Civil War, so I've never seen it to this day.
Oh my god, that's one of the best ones.
um, fuck, I can't even think of it off the top of my head, but there were like one or two Marvel movies where I was just like bored out of my fucking mind, and it was the Avengers series. But overall, I would say the whole Avengers series has been my favorite. But the last two, where they introduced Thanos, oh man,
Yeah.
I could watch those over and over and over. I mean, some of the most iconic lines like that Thanos says and everything, like "I'll do it myself," or
Right.
what's that shit he says when he's like, what he's like sitting out there waiting for the Avengers to come out in like the last movies, and he said something like, "You tried to change the time, and what did it do? It like brought you right back to me," or something like that. I was like, "Oh, that's some good shit." It got me hyped. So that's probably it. Yeah.
I would have to say that Ready Player One, just because of the nostalgia that they put like everything in there, right? Like the Back to the Future car.
They did a good job with that.
They put Chucky in there. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just they just put everything in there and just.
Aren't they working on a Ready Player Two movie?
I think so. I'm not totally sure about that. But even like the character, people don't realize that looks like Christian Slater from back in the day, like his actual character.
No, I saw that. Yeah.
So like, Christian Slater is a big movie star from the 80s. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like
80s and the 90s and even early 2000s he was still doing stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd have to go with Ready Player One. I absolutely love that. And I didn't even think about this, but Pixels. Do you remember Pixels with Adam Sandler and Kevin James?
Oh yeah, where they were like doing the Space Invader thing and everything. Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. So since we're talking about video game movies, like what's the best or your favorite video game that was turned into a movie? Like for me, for me, I would have to say that
tell me
Tomb Raider. But I would have to say Tomb Raider, right? Because I think that Angelina Jolie did a great job, and then the new Tomb Raider was good. But after that, Uncharted was very good. Uncharted movie with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. That was a really good movie. So I'd have to say it's a tie between Tomb Raider and Uncharted.
Due to my limited experience with all the games I got to play, it's hard for me to answer this question because they didn't make a Wacky Races movie. They didn't make a Wolfenstein movie. I was going to say
Evil, maybe?
Well, I mean, Resident Evil was awesome, but I never played the games.
Okay.
I like the movie series, I like Mia Jovovich and all that. And
yeah.
I really enjoyed the Resident Evil movies, but I never played the game.
Okay.
I mean, there's a ton of video game movies I like, but I'm trying to think of one that actually involved the game that I played. Oh, Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, and then the Bruce Lee story that was made in like the
93?
early 2000s. I don't know, maybe 93. I think Brandon Lee played his dad. Yeah.
No. Okay, so no. Okay, so 93, it was Jason Scott Lee. I know this because I'm a huge Bruce Lee fan.
Yes.
I think he's related to them somehow.
It was the Bruce Lee story, how he came to America and all that. I think it was the one with Jason Scott Lee, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, because me and my brother used to fucking no life Enter the Dragon on Nintendo, Super Nintendo when we would visit my grandma. And I watched that movie so many times. I mean, I haven't seen it recently, but I had to watch the movie at least 20 times when I was a kid. And I think I liked it so much because one, Bruce Lee was fucking awesome, and two, because we when I would get the nunchucks going on the Enter the Dragon, and my brother would just get murdered and just go run away and cry. So
Yeah. God, bro, I'm telling you, like I was having this conversation with MK the other day, and I was like, it's like if it wasn't for my dad introducing me to Bruce Lee, I don't know if I would have found my love for Asian women.
well, I mean, who doesn't like Asian women? I mean, come on.
Right. But yeah, man, I didn't think about that. The video game with Bruce Lee. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I would have to go with that one because of how many times I watched it and how into that game I was. I mean, I like learned all the combos and everything, and my brother would get so mad at me. Unlike Street Fighter, when I played Street Fighter, I would just do jump side kicks the entire time until he died, and he would get so mad at me. That's so cheap. You should learn some moves. I'm like, why? I always kill you with the jump side kick. So
Speaking of, okay, so this wasn't even part of it, but since you bring up Street Fighter, did you ever watch that movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
I love that movie.
Did
That
you?
I mean, it's so fucking cheesy, but that's what makes it so good, bro.
Okay, I love it, and I'm glad
And I
that
just recently rewatched it again like a
really.
year ago. Yeah. I think it was on Netflix or something.
Okay.
I saw it somewhere and I was like, "Oh, bro, I haven't watched that in so long." Because I didn't really get into that recent Chun-Li story that they did. Like I was so bored I was like falling asleep that movie. But then the the one with Jean-Claude Van Damme
Yes.
and Major Bison and everybody, dude, and Ryu and Ken. I was like, I love that movie, bro, but it was so cheesy.
It,
Like when I was a kid and I was watching, I was like, this is so awesome. When I was an adult and I watched it, I was like, oh my fucking god, they butchered this movie, but I still love it.
so bad. They butchered it so bad. Like, here's my thing. Like Guile, that was Van Damme, right? And
Yeah,
yeah, it was super dope. But who was the main characters? It was Ryu and Ken, right?
right.
Like, and they made those people like they didn't give them any really like fighting scenes,
They
and
were
then
like
they
secondary character, and they were so goofy, bro.
yeah, and they couldn't even like Ryu was okay, like he could fight okay, but like their karate or martial arts, whatever it was, should have been top tier. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
Jean-Claude Van Damme should have been Ryu. And then a movie would have focused on. That's why, because the main actor was Jean-Claude Van Damme, and he played Major Guile. So all of a sudden, the whole movie shifted into Major Guile.
Right.
You know, so
Oh
I
God.
still loved it though.
Did you ever watch Double Dragons?
Yes, but I don't
Talk
remember it
okay, so okay,
because I
so
played that game too a lot on the
yes,
Super Nintendo.
yes,
Yeah,
that was like my favorite Super Nintendo game. So Double Dragons, it was they got the guy. Do you remember the older brother from Party of Five? I think it was.
yes,
So they
yeah,
had him play the you know they have like a dark haired double dragon and
yeah,
then the blonde hair. So he played the blonde haired dude. And then the other dude was played by an Asian guy, which I'm not even sure if that's the origin of Double Dragon.
right.
And then so the Asian dude was like really good at martial arts, but the other dude, Billy, he was terrible. Like he couldn't even like. I'm like, why are you casting these people into these movies where they need to do martial arts and they can't even do it? It's just it was
Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat.
yes. Oh, and Melissa Milano was in Double Dragon. Do you remember that?
Yes, now I remember it a lot better,
Oh
actually.
God, and she was so fine, even with the short hair that they had her in. Oh my God, she was so
But did you like the Mortal Kombat movies?
the 95 one I thought was okay. Like it was
I like the first one.
yeah, that was the first one in
Yeah.
95. The one that they came out in like 99, the Annihilation or whatever was, that
Yeah.
was terrible.
It was. It really was.
And then did you
Because I
see the new
recently
one?
rewatched those too. Yeah, I actually like the new one.
Yeah.
And you know what, the main thing about the new one that I like versus the old ones is in the old ones, they got like when they got to the island and started fighting, they developed like these magical powers, you know? and they didn't even question it. It was just like, oh, I can shoot a fucking fireball from my hand. I couldn't do that before, but let's just pretend like it's natural. But in the new movie, like the whole point was like, holy fuck, I can shoot a fireball out of my fucking hand. This is
Right.
amazing. I was like, that's what I wanted to see. You
Yeah.
know, like I want to know, like, are you surprised by this mystic shit that's happening, you know, or what? And
Right.
I did enjoy the new Mortal Kombat movie, but yeah,
I do
ever
too.
since you mentioned Street Fighter, I'm like, dude, that Street Fighter just has a special place in my heart.
Oh man. Um, Speaking of Mortal Kombat, do, do we know who the main character was? Like, who is that guy? Like, who is he in the actual game?
Does Mortal Kombat even have a main character? Like
Well,
even in the game?
yeah, I don't know if there's a main. I would say Liu Kang would be a main character, maybe. I'm only saying that
Yeah.
because he was the main character in the first one. But like, who is this guy? Like, what was his name? Gage or something? Like, or I can't remember. Like he they were focusing in on him. I thought that guy was Johnny Cage, but it wasn't because then they referenced Johnny Cage at the end, like
Right.
he was going
Yeah,
to see
same.
Johnny Cage.
It was kind of like a weird origin story, like a revisiting of the Mortal Kombat origin or something like that. I was like trying to read too much into it, but then I was like, don't just watch it. Don't make any assumptions. And I enjoyed it a lot more
Yeah,
when I did that. When I stopped trying to figure out like who was who and what was going on. Some of it was obvious, but some of the characters I was like, now who is that supposed to be?
right.
And I was like, don't worry about it. Just watch the movie. And I enjoyed it a lot more like that. But I do agree. Like when you think of Street Fighter, you immediately just like Ryu and Ken,
Yep.
like, and then all the other characters kind of fall. But when I think Mortal Kombat, I just think of a jumbled loading screen where you pick your character,
Right.
not one really. I mean, Liu Kang, yeah, but there's a million other ones too, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I have a friend who's like incredibly into Mortal Kombat. In fact, when the most recent game came out, he actually bought it for me, and I felt bad because I only played it with him like once, but I just really couldn't get back into it. Like when I was a kid, it's so advanced now. Like when
I
you were a kid, it was
know.
like you learn a couple moves and you're good to go. But now it's like you play against somebody that knows what they're doing, and it's like you might as well just fucking turn your computer off or your console because you're gonna get destroyed.
Exactly. Oh man, I haven't played. Yeah, I haven't actually enjoyed a Street Fighter game since like Sega Genesis or
Yeah.
Super Nintendo. So
I never played too much fighting games. I mean, there was a period in my life where me and my brother, maybe for like a year, like no life some fighting games, but I definitely played my fair share of fighting games, and I played a lot of Dead or Alive 4 when I got my Xbox 360. But other than that, I kind of transitioned to shooters and just never looked back.
yeah, me too, man. And like, so I it's weird because people are like, oh, you should play sports games because I used to play Madden, I used to play NBA 2K like all the time. And I
Yeah.
like like my love is for basketball, right? But it's like there's a different like feeling that you get when you're in a online shooter and you are testing your abilities versus somebody else. You know what I'm saying? It's just
It's that competition that it's me and you, buddy.
yeah,
Whoever's better is going to win this. It's just that feeling. And sometimes maybe they are better and you start shooting at them and they shoot you better, but it bumps your aim right up onto their head and you get that feeling. You're like, holy fuck, I can't believe I just won that gunfight. Yeah, there's
right.
something special about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and with like sports games, like there's like little like, oh, go to this certain spot and you'll hit it every time.
Right.
I don't want to do any of that. Like I play basketball games like I play basketball in real life. It's like I'm gonna exploit the mismatch and go like that. But like in a video game, it's like it's not like that. It's if you get to this certain spot, you can if you this certain player, you'll hit the shot 90% of the time or
That
something.
surprises me because it seems like it'd be difficult for you to play basketball being 5'2". I mean, like you do better on the video game. I think.
If I'm 5'2", then you're 4'11". All right. Then we're just gonna leave it at that.
It is what it is. I'm not, I'm not one of those guys that's like I'm 5'6.732" inch, you know.
We are gonna see each other again, and I do have the photo of us standing next to each. But you know what?
And
We'll get into that.
Photoshop is a thing, so I mean,
Shit.
we'll see what happens next time we meet up when I have to like actually like take my eyes and like do this, like look down just to make eye contact with you.
All right. So, what has streaming taught you? Like, what have you learned from streaming? Like, going even into like your personal life, what has translated for you?
You really, for me, it's really who I am as a person, because you're really a different person when no one's watching you, as opposed to when you have 50, 100, 1,000 people watching you. You have to be on like your best behavior. And you can do your own thing. You can have your own personality, but there's certain things that every single person does when nobody's looking, that they, not necessarily bad things, but just things that are embarrassing or things you might not want anybody else to know about, or even your mood, the way you approach gaming or whatever you happen to be doing. For me, streaming helped me realize, it helped me cut out a lot of toxic parts of my nature that I was just ignoring or didn't even notice I was doing. Because when I was in front of a bunch of people playing, and I would get done streaming and go back and watch, or even sometimes I would catch myself, I'd be like, wow, that was really toxic of me to do, or toxic of me to say, but I didn't even realize at the time how toxic I was being. But then when I would play by myself and do the same things, I would be like, wow, toxic level 500. When nobody's watching, I really fly off the handle. I throw my controller, I kick my Xbox, or something like that. I would never do that on stream. I don't want people to see that side of me. So it really helped me identify these toxic behaviors I was having and kind of cut them out, because I thought, I want to be the person that doesn't have these toxic behaviors. I don't want to have these toxic behaviors just, you know, I don't want to not have them just when everybody's watching me. I want to be a better person overall. And you can't cut out all toxicity from your life. It's impossible, but you can sure try to improve the parts of yourself that you identify as toxic. So for me, streaming has helped me become much less of a toxic person. It's helped me be better in front of people, talking in front of groups. Sometimes for my job, I have to give presentations and I have to teach people how to do certain things. And it's never huge crowds, but it's kind of like standing in front of a classroom, like in school. I used to get so nervous, like if I had to go in front of the class and like read a report or something. Now I just kind of thrive on that kind of thing. I'm still an introvert, but I'm an introvert that has no problem in social situations, because I'm much more confident in myself. I know what I'm talking about, and I'm the one giving the message out to these people. I don't care if they're judging me or not. I've so used to sitting in front of hundreds or even thousands of people, watching me and judging my every move, that I just don't care anymore. So it's helped me be a much more social person, and it's helped me cut out a lot of toxic behavior that I didn't even know I had.
Okay. Yeah. I could definitely feel that, man. I feel like I myself, like I I can do videos. I can audition for TV shows, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I honestly like didn't realize like how much streaming has helped me in front of people until like I had to stand up and talk at my dad's funeral. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like it was like, like and I don't know how you felt, but the first time I started streaming, I was terrified. But like now I can talk in front of anybody just because of being able to live stream,
You get so used to it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing. Like you said, I mean, I used to be scared to talk in front of people, and now I'm not. So it's just made me more, I guess, what would you call that? It's helped out my social awkwardness,
Okay.
made me less socially, because introverts are very socially awkward, I think the way I heard it explained best was, if an introvert goes to a social setting, they can do it just fine. But at the end of that social setting, all their energy is like drained. If an extrovert goes to the same setting, it has the opposite effect. It like recharges their battery. So for an introvert, they get drained by these social settings, and an extrovert gets charged up by them. And while they both might be able to act the same, the end result is totally different for an introvert versus an extrovert. So me being an introvert, never being too comfortable in social situations, especially around a bunch of people I don't know and don't care about, it's really helped me just be more of a what I would consider just like a normal social person instead of the guy standing in the corner sipping on the beer like I don't want to fucking be here, you know?
Right.
But yeah, and the thing you said about, you know, speaking at your dad's funeral, I can't imagine. That's like an insane amount of pressure about what you're going to say. I mean, you're talking about a loved one that's recently passed away. The emotions are high, the stress levels are high, and the fact that you were able to do that and the streaming is what helped you, that's fucking awesome. I mean, that says a lot about how much streaming can help with social anxiety, social awkwardness, and just social situations in general. So,
Yeah.
yeah, makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Um, okay, I got a great question for you right now. Why did you stop playing Warzone?
Lots of reasons, but the main reason is the same one you talked about in your last podcast. Too many cheaters, you know, and you got people, and not only the cheaters, but the Cronus devices that people were using to help their aim assist. I mean, let's be honest, the aim assist in that game was already ridiculous. And it wasn't ridiculous for new players or average players, but for a player that was really good, and I know this because I used to play Call of Duty with a controller. That's all I used. You could rely on the aim assist so good that sometimes you could just close your eyes, hit the aim, and pull the trigger, and it would just work for you, you know. And if you get good enough at doing that, it's almost becomes like an aimbot. And then on top of that, you got these people using these Cronus devices that make the aim assist twice as good and take away the recoil and then add an aimbot on top of that, and you literally just have people getting perfect shots on you. And so many times I'd watch the death cam and I'm like, dude, I'm the one using the mouse here. And I'm not getting perfect shots on people. Like I'm really good with the mouse. And sometimes I do get perfect. But most of the time, 2 or 3 bullets are gonna miss. But almost every death cam on me, these no matter how much I was moving left and right or jumping up and down, it's like their reticle is perfectly following like my head and upper chest on every movement. And I'm like, this is not the players predicting my movement. This is either cheating or external devices that are amplifying the aim assist that's already there. And so I tested it myself. I got a controller. I hadn't used a controller in like a year. I played and I fucking won a match and it was so easy. I was like, this is like sticky aim. It was just like my old Call of Duty experiences. And like I remember specifically I had this LMG with no attachment. So when I tried to use it with a mouse, it was horrible. It would just jump everywhere. When that LMG with no attachments would, when you get the aim assist to lock on to a guy, it wouldn't stop. The guy moved left, he moved right, he jumped up and down. My reticle just followed him and emptied every bullet into him. And at that point in time, I said, never again. I said, I don't want to play a game that assists people. I mean, of course, aim assist is necessary in a cross play environment, but in my opinion, the aim assist was too strong. The cheaters were too plentiful, and they never did anything to stop the controller mods that people were doing. And I thought, why am I wasting my time on a game where like you just don't know whether you got killed by a cheater or not? You know, if the game assists you too much in the first place, and now add all this crap on top of it, and you got people that don't have any skill, never missing a shot. And I'm like, I don't want that. I'd rather play PUBG where you actually have to have some skill to win a match. You know,
Right. Yeah, and that
and
was
then
the
meta guns and
exactly like, okay, why can't every gun do the same thing? It's just a preference on what the gun looks like, or
let
you know what I'm
people use
saying?
the gun they want to use. Don't
Right.
force them to use the kilo because that's the gun of the month. Like,
Right.
fuck.
Oh God. And like obviously Call of Duty understood what was happening in the esports scene, right? So they were like, all right, well, a lot of people are watching these streamers, so what's going to get them to play our game? Or oh, well, we'll just make a meta. And the funny thing is how does every top tier creator know what the meta gun's going to be? Like how do they decide like I'm going to use this gun that nobody knows about and this is the meta? Obviously somebody inside the organization is telling them this
Oh
is what
yeah,
we're buffing this gun. This
it's
is
advertising.
right.
They're using the streamers to advertise. So I mean, there's nothing illegal about somebody from the company saying, "Hey, you know, this gun's getting a buff. You know, it's in the patch notes, but it's in fine print, but it's really getting a buff. So you should start using this." You
Right.
know,
And they'll start using it before the patch notes even come out. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like the
Yeah,
day
exactly.
before, and then they're like, "Oh, this is a meta gun." It's just
It's too much to keep up with. I was just like, I don't like this. I like to play games the way I like to play games. I don't want a company telling me what gun I have to use. And if I want to be super competitive, I don't want to have to go out and buy a fucking cheater device to hook up to my controller or my mouse, you know?
Right.
Oh, and I didn't even mention that. People were actually figured out how to hook up the Cronus devices to their fucking mouse. Imagine that.
Oh,
Imagine
geez.
aim assist with a mouse with the Cronus. You don't miss. You can't miss. It's impossible. I never talked about that because I didn't want people to get like
No, I've
ideas.
actually I've seen videos of people talking about, you know, certain content creators that are using keyboard and mouse that are
Aim
have on
assist.
yeah. And
Yeah, it's like
so
how do they have aim assist on a mouse, bro?
right.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I knew how to do it. I actually tested it myself to see if it worked because I was like, and that was before I saw any videos of people doing it. I thought because I had that old Cronus, you know, I hooked it up and I went into a lobby against bots and I got aim assist on my mouse and I was like, fuck this game. I'm like, if they make it so easy that I don't even need a tutorial to figure out how to do it,
yeah.
how many people are actually doing it? You know?
Right. And they were selling out of those devices. You know what I'm saying? And it's not
Yeah, I
and it's
heard
not
somebody said you couldn't even order them anymore. They were all sold out.
right. And it's not like obviously I would never cheat. That's not in my DNA. But it's like you see, you know, obviously I watch YouTube and people are like, oh, you know, or like you might be on Reddit or something or anything, and they're like, oh, this is you know sold out everywhere. Where can I get it? I'm like, are you serious? Like I have to worry about that many people
It's
like
like
using
everybody's a
this
cheater.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and yeah, that's why I had to
And you're
stop
not
that
in,
too.
and because of the skill-based matchmaking, you're not in the lobbies with people that don't cheat. You're good at the game, even without a cheating device. So
Right.
you got to deal with more of the cheaters than the people that don't use them and have a fucking negative KD and actually get to stay in those crappy skill-based matchmaking lobbies that are actually normal lobbies because those are the lobbies where nobody's cheating.
Right.
You get put in the lobbies where people are cheating because you're good at the game, you get some kills, and now you have to go against people that only get kills like you because they're cheating.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
That's why I quit War. Fuck Warzone.
yeah, I feel you.
I like Call of Duty multiplayer. I don't play it all the time, but I do enjoy going back and playing the multiplayer every now and then. But Warzone, if I ever did play it again, it would probably be just to make content like, let's see how Warzone is in 2023, you
Right.
know, and play it for a day or something. I could not see myself getting back into it unless Call of Duty came out and actually admitted, like, they admitted the cheater problem, but they never admitted the Cronus problem. And in fact, I don't know if you know this, but one of the Call of Duty tournament sponsors was fucking Cronus.
No. Well, yeah, yeah, because they use those for the Call of Duty tournaments. They use those
Yeah.
so to look, okay. And this is why I'm so glad that you brought that up. So like if all these ex-pro players that are Warzone pros now, if they got to use those devices at these LAN events to so that they can use whatever controller they want on that console or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Then to them, using a
It's
Cronus is not
normal.
cheating. It's not
Yeah,
cheating.
exactly. And technically it's not because the base Cronus device does not do any of that aim assist amplification or anything. It just lets you hook up different input devices. People download scripts for it,
Right.
okay? Because it has software that comes with it. And these people that are really smart, they make these scripts for like anti-recoil, extra sticky aim assist. There's even headshot assistance. There's all kinds of scripts you can download. That's when it becomes a cheating device. If you're only using it because you want to use a PlayStation controller on your Xbox, who the fuck cares? Use whatever controller you want, you know.
Right.
But as soon as you download that script to give yourself sticky aim assist or no recoil on a gun that doesn't have any attachments,
Yeah.
now you're cheating.
Right.
And it's hard for people to resist it. You know, they have one and they go on YouTube and they type in how to set up my Cronus, and all of a sudden a whole list of stuff pops up. How to get better aim assist, better aim with your. Of course they're gonna do it. I mean, these
Right.
are people that don't make content that are doing it, and then the people that make content basically have to do it. You know,
Right.
just to have people watch your videos, because just like you said, nobody cares about watching an average player. But the problem is the good players are getting pushed down because the cheaters are the ones making themselves look good.
Right.
It's what I've been saying about PUBG all along. When I get killed by a cheater, I'd rather it be an obvious cheat. than having to the ones that try to hide their cheats are the worst scumbags of the gamer community ever, because they make you like want to live up to a standard. It's kind of like, I'm into bodybuilding, and it's kind of just like people that take steroids that don't admit it, and they're popular on social media. They're giving people a false standard to live up to. Like, no matter how many hours you work out a day, no matter how good you eat, no matter how much cardio you do, no matter how much exercise you do, you can never look like that guy because he's taking steroids, you know. And that's the same. It's the same with Warzone. You're never going to be on the same level these players that have decided to use the Cronus and aimbots and sticky aim, and they're good at hiding it and never get caught. You can never do what they do. So why would I want to keep playing a game where the whole environment of content creation is toxified to that level? You know, I don't.
Yeah. And you know what? People are just now talking about what's the VPN? What's the VPN like router or whatever? What's it called? The NetDuma. Okay, so I'm not even trying to like stir anything up with 402 Thunder. Thunder's been advertising that NetDuma since I was watching him back in 2014. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's one of the best. I have one, not here, but I have one at my old house before I moved in with my grandma. It's supposed to be the best gaming router ever. But you're talking about that controversial feature of it where you can like restrict your geographical region and like beat skill-based matchmaking systems and stuff, right? Yeah. That worked for a while, but I think they actually made a patch so you couldn't do that anymore. And when they did that, I thought, why the fuck don't you make a patch so people can't use Cronus and aimbots? Why are you picking on people that are trying to play with people that have good ping just like they do? You know, like that's all the fucking NetDuma does. It just puts you in lobbies where people are on the same connection level as you, you know, which if it's against the rules, it's against the rules. But I think that's a much lesser form of cheating than giving yourself a fucking aimbot, you know? But yeah.
All right. So what are your thoughts on Battlefield 2042? Can it be saved, or are you looking forward to the next Battlefield title?
I don't think it can be saved, and that's coming from a guy who actually stood up for it for a long time until it became apparent that once again the Battlefield developers weren't going to support it. I mean, it was Firestorm all over again. It wasn't a battle royale, but it was the whole concept of we released a game with bugs and we took too long to fix them, and actually to this day haven't fixed the majority of them. So how could that game succeed? You know what I mean? Like they're already talking about the next Battlefield. Like they've scrapped it, you know. Like honestly, I don't know what they were thinking, but I feel like history has repeated itself for the past 2 to 3 Battlefield releases. I wouldn't expect them to really recover at this point. I think they've kind of tarnished the whole Battlefield name. I don't know why. I don't know why they won't take care of their own game. I mean,
you know that they're I don't know if you've like if you dove into like all the stuff that they had planned for it, but they are supposedly working on a hero shooter battle royale for it. Are you going to be excited for that, or do you think it's going to be another
Battlefield
disaster?
has failed so hard that I feel like I would be a total chump to get excited about anything that Battlefield is doing until it's proven that it's actually good. You know what I mean? Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times. What the fuck, bro? Like, I'm at that point where like I don't give a shit what they're doing. If they come out with the next biggest thing, awesome, I'll play it. But I'm not gonna get hyped about anything that they're planning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I got nothing against Battlefield, but they've been fucking up bad.
Yeah, big time for sure.
I love Battlefield. That got me up to like 60,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
So I got nothing against Battlefield, but if they're making shit games, they're making shit games. I tried to defend it because I thought that the devs would learn from their Firestorm mistakes, but they did the same fucking thing with Battlefield 2042. Every new game that comes out nowadays has bugs. It just seems to be the way content or developers make games now, but the lack of like the lack of motivation for them to fix their own game. I mean, come on, bro.
Right. Yeah.
It's like they
Um,
didn't care about getting new players. They were just like, we're happy as long as the diehard Battlefield plans keep playing.
exactly. That's what I was saying. Like, at what point are you trying to get people in from other communities? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, that's the
It's
whole
like,
point of making a game is to get.
yeah, it's like
You're
you
not
only
gonna.
have fanboys at this point. That's all
Yeah.
you have playing the game, fanboys,
Oh
you know.
my god. Seriously. All right. So, do you think PUBG will come out with the PUBG 2? And if so, what are you hoping that they add to make the experience better?
I don't think they'll come out with a PUBG 2, but they might come out with something kind of like Counter-Strike turned into Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It wasn't really like Counter-Strike 2, but it was like we're going to update Counter-Strike with like a new game engine and update the graphics. And if PUBG did do a PUBG 2, I think it would be more like that. It would be kind of like a PUBG remastered.
Mm.
Like people are still playing PUBG, so we're going to modernize it. We're going to move it to the next like Unreal Engine,
Five or whatever.
version. Yeah. I think that's what it would be like. And what was the second part of the question?
Like if they like, what would you hope that they would add to make the experience better?
Well, it's kind of like what I hope they wouldn't add. I hope they wouldn't add a bunch of crap that makes it the unrealistic, non nitty gritty experience that is other battle royales. PUBG Mobile has already done that. And PUBG Mobile has great success, but mostly in like the Asian countries where Asian and Indian countries where mobile gaming is much more prevalent and much more mainstream. We have plenty of mobile gamers here in the US, but it's not mainstream. Console gaming and PC gaming is mainstream over here.
Mm.
So if PUBG did remaster and come out with a new one, I really hope that the only thing they would add is like new guns, like maybe a 50 caliber sniper rifle pickup, simple things like that. I wouldn't want them to make like new game modes. I still want my battle royale. The one change I would like to see is more events. Like I think what one good thing that PUBG Mobile does is every season they have some kind of really cool, crazy event, like where a map is completely changed or there's an event you can participate in that's longer than just a weekend or a week. PUBG PC, when they come out with these and console, PUBG console and PC, when they come out these little events, they only last for like 9 or 10 days. And it's like, is it really worth even getting into if it's just going to be taken away? But if they come out with an event that's a season wide event that's going to last for a month or two, maybe it is. Maybe they do add some stuff that's not nitty gritty battle royale, but it's optional. I think that'd be kind of fun
Right.
if they focused more on community events than just simple updates, So
Right.
remaster it, make the graphics better, move it to a better game engine, call it PUBG remastered or whatever. It's not going to be PUBG 2. It's going to be the same PUBG, the same concept, but maybe put a little more effort on for PC and console gamers over here. But that's mostly because PUBG is Korean company, so obviously their main focus is going to be where PUBG is getting the most play,
Right.
and it's not getting the most play here in the US. So I can't blame them for not. I dog the PUBG devs all the time, but I really can't blame them for not focusing too much on the regions where their game's not that popular anyway.
Right. So
They could
like,
have
oh, go ahead.
they could have made better decisions early on to keep it popular here, but we're past that point.
Right. So like I always say, and I think we've had our fair share of conversations about it as well. I agree with you. I think that they should have newer engine and like you said, it doesn't have to be PUBG 2 because it basically will be PUBG 2 if they move it to a new engine.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
make the mechanics a little bit better, vaulting walls, make it a little bit faster. Like I want a realistic battle royale, but I also want it to be a video game. You know what I'm saying? So like vaulting walls a little bit
Characters
quicker.
aren't their movement isn't realistic. Like, I
Mm.
mean, you the characters are so nonchalant about their movement. Like, if you're getting shot in the butt, you're not gonna slowly climb over the wall. You're gonna fucking run through the wall. I
Right.
don't care how athletic you are. Your adrenaline's gonna be so high in that situation. It doesn't matter if you can run a mile or not. You're running 5 fucking miles to save your own life. You know what I
Right.
mean? And the character movement is so slow. I totally agree with that. I don't think it should be as twitchy as like Call of Duty movement, but they
Right.
need to find a balance. Like these characters are fighting for their lives. They don't need to reload their gun in the middle of a gunfight like super slow.
Right.
come on, bro. I mean, if I know how to reload a gun and I'm in a gunfight, it's happening fast.
Right.
You know, if I have the technical knowledge and skill to reload the gun fast, it's getting reloaded fucking fast. You know, I'm not going to sit there and take 5 seconds. So things like that, I think they can make more realistic. These characters are in a life and death situation and they act like they haven't been on a treadmill in fucking 10 years.
Right. And I think like just adding the dynamic of like maybe healing and running at the same time. I think if they speed up the game just a tad bit, maybe faster zones, and I would even say add 50 more players into the map.
Yeah, especially on the big maps like Miramar, they're so fucking boring.
Right. I think on a newer engine, even if they push the envelope and they put it to 200, it would be the most awesome battle royale ever known to mankind, right? Like it's just like either you can have larger larger teams, or else you still have the 4-man team, and it's just no matter where you go, you're
we're talking about this in 2022 because this is something they should have done in like 2018.
Right.
You know, these are the things that would have kept the game super popular here and not just in, you know, the Asian countries, which is mostly actually playing just PUBG Mobile, you know? So
yeah,
I wish.
But
I wish.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
But I kind of like that it's a smaller community now because that's better for, I think that's better for YouTube channels, honestly, especially YouTube channels that are on a slowdown or that need to come up, because you slowly become that big fish in a small pond again. And then when a new game comes out, you know, let's say I have 100,000 subscribers that don't watch my channel anymore, but they know who I am because they used to watch me. So they know the name. There's 100,000 people out there that might not care about PUBG anymore, but they know Average Sniper. So the next big thing comes out, right? And I start making stuff about it. They're going to be like, Average Sniper. Yes, he plays this game now. I'm going to watch that shit.
Right.
That's why I'm looking for the next big thing, because it's going to be like a big revival, you know, but
Right.
all the shit that comes out is just seems like rehashed garbage nowadays. I mean, Super People looked like it had some potential, but I don't even know anymore, you know?
I love Super People. I just don't.
I know you did.
I don't know. Like, there's no information, and I think if any game, because you see, it's not graphically demanding, right? So it's like if there's any game that can add, and their map is huge, so it's like open up the map, right, and open up the more like players on the map, and then you got yourself a battle royale in game that people are more enticed to play, because as you know, Call of Duty ruined it for everybody, right? Like it's all about how many kills can you get, right? And then so like,
and that's what Call of Duty has kind of always been about. That just translated over into the battle royale mode,
right? And so now as a content creator myself, and I want to play Super People, it's like, yeah, you know, like I feel like I'm capped at a certain number of kills, which is like I never even got over 9, I don't think. You know what I'm saying? And it's like if you open the map and make it larger or whatever, then I could, you know, I can have better content to put out, I guess. So, and I think that the one thing that keeps your game relevant is now content creators that are pushing out your product. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that's the modern way of advertising for video game companies. I mean, they get in touch with popular streamers and they say, hey, how much do you want? Play our game for a weekend, name your price,
right.
and we'll pay it, you know. And all of a sudden people are like, ooh, Jack Frags or Shroud is playing this game, and then they just reached out to millions of people, and probably for a much lower price than traditional advertising would cost, you know. So totally, streamers are the next level of advertising. We need to get fucking paid more.
For real, especially you. You're the big time. You're the tea sipper. I think we kind of already touched on this a little bit, but what are your thoughts on the state of gaming and the hackers in games? And what do you think cheating how do you think cheating should be handled, especially in like the competitive scene?
Let me answer that. So that was me walking away from the gaming scene if they don't fix this shit soon, because it's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can't stand it, man. Every time a new game comes out, the first thing I think is, oh, I hope they have good cheat protection. Why should I have to think like that? How come every time somebody kills me, I have to watch a death cam and determine whether or not that person was cheating? Like, bro, I'm sorry. We went to the moon in the 60s with fucking computers that basically did nothing but print out paper, and we can't stop little Timmy in his fucking garage from designing an aimbot. I mean, bro, it's just the they could make gaming a lot better, but the truth is people keep buying games. The gaming industry is making tons of money. So regardless the state of gaming, people are still spending money, and that's really all that matters to them, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's just like, so you're telling me that the people in your company that have gone to school for 4 to 8 years are getting outsmarted by somebody who is making cheats off their one PC.
That's what I used to think, but here's what I think now. Uh, the developers only can do so much. They have to do what their bosses tell them to do, and their bosses have to do what the shareholders tell them to do. I'll take a game like Warzone that's just eaten up by cheaters, and they still haven't fixed it. You know, I mean, they've tried to take certain measures, but they still haven't fixed the fucking problem. This Imagine a shareholder meeting, and they bring up all these issues, and they bring up microtransactions, and they bring up all these things that make them money, and then somebody brings up cheating, you know, and they're like, yeah, it's a problem, but are people still playing the game? Yes. Are people still buying the game new? Yes. Are people still buying microtransactions? Yes. Is the player base still huge? Yes. Is it still the most popular battle royale? Yes. So what's the problem? If they would put the right amount of money, if they would create a whole department of developers whose specific job all day, all night was to combat cheating, it would be a much better environment. Maybe you can't fully beat them because games are based on engines. Engines are based on programming, and programmers can always find ways to fuck with the programming. But those same people, like you said, that went to school for this job, if their only job, if they had enough funding, that's what it all comes down to, I think, funding. They don't put any funding into cheat prevention, you know. They rely on some third-party software like Easy Anti-Cheat, you know, and they buy their product. That's like putting an antivirus program on your computer. Bro, go ahead and pay $200 for an antivirus program and then go try to download a virus. Attempt to. It'll work. You can get a virus. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what anti-cheat software is. It's like, we know what all these cheats are, and here's a software that's going to prevent them. But people write new cheats every fucking day. Mm-hmm. So if people are writing new cheats every day, then you need a team of people fixing those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you'll still get your occasional cheater in the game, but they won't be able to sell their fucking cheats because as soon as their cheat comes out, this entire team of developers has already found a way to beat it. So all these people buying the cheats, those are the ones that are the real problem, by the way. I mean, the people that make the cheats obviously are the big, if nobody made cheats, then there'd be no cheats to buy. But the people that make the cheats aren't really the ones using them. They're making the cheats to make money. It's the people that go on these websites and buy the cheats and pay subscription. Some people pay $200 a month to use cheats.
Right.
It's insane. It's a huge money-making market. And if these hackers making the cheats are making this much money, but the shareholders aren't putting any of their own money into combating it, how can they stop it? You know, you got to imagine you're a developer and they give you like 4 things to do in a day and you got to get them all done. And at the end of the day, are you really going to sink any more time into worrying about cheating when your boss said it's not even a priority? No, because you work for them. You don't own the company. You're just a developer. You're going to do what job you're assigned. And they're probably going to be fucking exhausted and ready to go home at the end of the day, just like anybody else that works a full-time job. You don't want to go home and then try and fix a fucking cheating problem. No, you want to have your personal life, your personal time. So there needs to be a whole department of people to combat cheats because we can do it. I just don't think there's enough funding to do it from the shareholders. That's what I think it really comes down to. I think they're more than capable of stopping it. They just don't have the time or the effort because the shareholders haven't designated a team to do it.
That's a definitely a good way to look at it. And I remember back in the day you saying that there should be legal action for these cheaters.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, nothing too severe. I mean, you wouldn't want to fucking, yeah, honest, cheaters are people too. It's easy for gamers, for us as gamers, to look at them as like scumbags, and people are really toxic. They're like, oh, that guy was cheating. I hope he gets cancer and his mom dies. And it's like, no, bro, these are people. Think about your own life. You've done some fucked up things. I'm not saying you, Jewelz. I'm just saying your average person sitting here watching this can probably immediately think of 3 or 4 fucked up things they did in their life that they wish they could take back. I look at cheaters the same way. Not all of them are trying to ruin the gaming community. They're just participating in something that is ruining the gaming community. There should definitely be some kind of legal action, some type of misdemeanor that doesn't go on a permanent record. And they should never be put into, just because you're cheating in a video game, you should not be sitting next to Bubba in jail who just murdered 3 people.
Right.
That's not fair. You know what I mean? That's not fair.
How about more so for the people that are making millions of dollars gaming?
Yeah. The people that are making millions of dollars selling cheats are actual criminals. Okay. That is a real criminal, and there's different crimes. It's not the same as murdering somebody, but just like a CEO of a company laundering, or not laundering, but ripping off money from the company, embezzling funds, if they get caught, they could be looking at serious prison time for that.
Yeah.
So those guys should get serious prison time too.
Yeah.
That's a criminal offense. You're making money by doing something illegal.
Right.
And a lot of countries do arrest these people and put them in jail. We just don't hear a lot about it because it doesn't really happen in the States, but if you lived in some of these other countries, you might hear a little bit more about that. But some countries do have pretty strict laws for internet crimes. So yeah, I think it should be more strict on the people, like you said, that are making the hacks. The people that use them should definitely be punished, but to a very minor degree. I mean, accounts banned, from playing whatever game they were cheating in, and some kind of misdemeanor, maybe as far as like probation or community service. But I don't think those people should ever spend any time in jail or ever have their actual life affected by like a felony. Like people can have misdemeanors, it doesn't affect their life, but a felony is kind of going to ruin your life. So I don't think your life should be ruined because you decided to cheat in a video game, but I also don't think it should go unpunished if you're willing to break the rules and hurt other people by what you're doing.
What about the people that are live streaming and they are hacking, but they're not actually being caught for it? Like, what if like they do get caught and the reason why they've gotten these sponsorships and they're getting paid from subs or memberships or donations because of their high kill games and all that type of stuff, like what should those people get? Because they are cheating the community as well as, like they're making a lot of money.
100%. Misdemeanor, fines, and forced to pay back reparations to everybody they ripped off. Oh, and their social media account canceled, obviously, so they can't keep doing it.
Yeah. Sorry if you can hear my dog barking in the background.
That's okay. That's a pretty simple thing, because I mean that's the same as like we were talking about, like bodybuilding and people using steroids. Like there's tons of people, in fact most people online that are like influencers for bodybuilding use steroids, because it's just like gaming. You can't get to the top naturally without putting in years and years of work. People aren't willing to do that nowadays, so they take the steroids. They look really good. The ones that admit it, I got no problem with. If you want to take steroids and you're not misleading people about what you're doing, I don't give a shit. Now, if you're competing, like in a sporting event, you're getting paid millions of dollars and you're taking steroids to win, that's a fucking problem. Same in the gaming world. If you want to run cheats in a single player environment, do it all you want. But as soon as you go into a multiplayer environment and you start streaming it and you start making money from it because you're using enhancements, aka cheats, I mean, it's the same shit. It's the same shit as the steroid scandal in baseball and in football and in bodybuilding. It's the same thing in the gaming community with people getting popular and making money because they're playing illegitimate and not admitting it. you know.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how many people admit they use cheats and stream it, like on YouTube. Like Twitch actually has like a rule that you're not allowed to use cheats in a video game and stream, but YouTube, as far as I know, doesn't have that rule. And there were tons of people playing Warzone that the title of the stream was like "Watch my aimbot," you know, and it was crazy. They were just admitting they were doing it. Doesn't make it right, but
And they were still getting the views.
yeah, and they were still getting the views, you know. So I mean, it's like it's just a crazy, like it's not as black and white as we think, you know. It's not as black and white as we think. But I mean, the choice to become a cheater is black and white. Either you're going to play the game legit or you're going to cheat. And if you choose to like try and get popular and make money because you're cheating, then there should definitely be some legal consequences going on.
Right.
You're scamming people. That's what you are. You're a con man.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. All right. So if you could take bits and pieces of every BR you've played and put them together into one BR game experience, like what would you put into that one game?
I would take the overall idea of PUBG, the nitty gritty post apocalyptic. Well, it's not so post apocalyptic anymore, but let's imagine PUBG is the way it was in like 2018, where like you didn't have the shiny skies. It was more like a gloomy, overcast type of. I'll take that post apocalyptic and realistic setting, okay, of PUBG. And I would probably honestly want to take the customization that Warzone offers. Because in PUBG, you have customization. You pick things up, put them on your gun. But in Warzone, you can actually like level up your guns and stuff, which I actually thought was pretty cool because the more work you put into the game, the more you get out of it. And that gives people motivation. Warzone, it was kind of motivated monetarily, like buy the multiplayer so you can level up your guns. I wouldn't want that, but I would want the ability, like the more you use the gun, the more attachments you could unlock, the more you could customize it. I like that grind. You know, that gives me a reason to play a game. If I'm like, today I want to stream for 4 hours and I just want to grind the scar, you know what I mean? And I want to unlock camos and attachments for it and stuff like that. So I would take that aspect of Warzone with the customization and the leveling up of guns. Um, and then I would probably honestly want to take a little bit of the cartooniness from Fortnite because these games can get so sweaty. I'd still want it to be a sweaty game, but always having like this post-apocalyptic gloomy feeling eventually starts to affect your mood. So I would kind of want to brighten it up a little bit with some of the cartoony aspects of Fortnite, maybe some of the sounds, you know, just to kind of remind you you're playing a video game. Yeah, you're really into it, but then all of a sudden something's like and you're like, oh, that was a, you know,
Right.
stuff like that. Those are probably the three aspects I would take. And then I'm trying to think. Um, that's pretty much it. I think for me, that would be the perfect battle royale. I don't think I'd want to do any superpowers like Super People does. If I did, I'd want it in a totally separate game mode. I wouldn't want it part of like the main nitty gritty battle royale. I'm thinking of Ring of Elysium, but Ring of Elysium was basically a copy of PUBG. There's nothing really in Ring of Elysium that sticks out to me as like very different or very unique,
Except for
other
the
than like
snowboards
that's
and
what I was gonna say, like the bikes and the snowboards and
right.
the hang gliders. But honestly, if you look at PUBG now, we have hang gliders, we have bicycles. You know, it's pretty
Right.
much the same shit. So yeah, I think a combination of PUBG's realism, Fortnite's cartooniness, and Warzone's customization would probably make a battle royale that I'd really want to play.
Okay. So like me myself, I agree. And you know what? I'm going to copyright this for any of you people out there that are watching. But so I want like you said, like PUBG, right? But I want it to be more so like graphically like Super People or Fortnite, just because you know that you're gonna get your max frames. Like
Oh yeah.
and then it's gonna be able to be cross-platform and you're not gonna miss a beat if you can't afford a PC or anything like that, right?
So
And
that's
then
more of a technical thing. You want the game to be super smooth for as many people as possible.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then I also want it to be like you said, as far as like the guns and stuff. So like, how do you get people to not camp? How do you get people to to actually play the game, I would like it to be every time that you is basically gun game battle royale. So every time that you kill somebody, either you get an upgraded gun or you get an attachment unlock for that gun, and it just magically appears on the gun. You know what I'm
That's a
saying?
pretty unique idea. I like that.
Yeah. So like there's an incentive of jumping out of a house and pushing the first person, because you know that once you get that first kill, you get a foregrip on your gun. The second
Yeah,
kill, you
in
get
a
attack stock
gun
for the gun.
game, because in a gun game, that first kill is so important because it gives you the upgrade to get easier kills with the next gun. So
Right.
yeah, that makes
And then, it might go all the way up to where you where would you max out? I don't know. I guess you get a 4-time or something. You know what I'm saying? Or you get
well, in Call of Duty, you max out with the throwing knife. That's what you got to get the
yeah,
final kill.
which is whack. But I'm just saying, like, keep it inside the
Yeah,
gun
no.
aspect. And yeah, I think that would be I would like that to be a battle royale. I also this is not a question, but we can make it into a question.
Okay.
Like okay, so I want a battle royale to where you can really, really go into deep customization of yourself. So you remember the Division game where you
Like
could
character customization.
right, where you could scan your face into the game. Like
Yeah.
I wish you could do that in the game, as well as I want there to be a like some kind of like actor battle royale game. So it's like, or entertainer battle royale game. So it's like you can have like or it's like a movie battle royale. So like you have characters from different movies, like so like you have like the Bad Boys characters, right?
Doesn't
Or like
Warzone occasionally bring in like movie actor characters and stuff like that in the different
yeah, but
seasons?
I would like it to just be like either you can like you have nothing but actors, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So like Bad
Oh, I
Boys
got you.
characters, Lethal Weapon characters, or like Die Hard, like all these different
What was
characters.
that one movie? It was a movie series with like Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jason Statham.
Yeah,
What
the
was that?
Untouchable, or wait,
Yeah, something like that.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Yeah.
right. Like, and I think that like because like even though there's a Die Hard 1 and a Die Hard 2, there's different versions of Bruce Willis, right? There's the
Right.
younger version, there's the older version. Like I just want it to be like, and then you got the Bad Boys, like the skinny Martin Lawrence, and then you get the bigger Martin Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like
Yeah.
I think that would be amazing. And then within there, you can create your own person if you want to, and be able to scan your own face and stuff like that. So I think that would be pretty dope.
I do too.
All
That's a
right,
good
so
idea. That's very unique, actually.
I've been thinking a lot about like like
It's good you said you copyrighted that.
yeah, exactly.
You
I
might
haven't
want to edit that. You might want to edit that whole little part out because somebody's gonna be like, he didn't actually. You can't copyright something just by saying you copyrighted it.
Oh, it's
So
in writing. It's in writing. So I'm gonna go up
good.
to the legal team at work and I'm gonna get it copyrighted. um. So my last question is if there were someone getting into streaming, what would be some advice that you would give them?
Don't fucking do it. No, I'm kidding. I think streaming is awesome, and I think the biggest piece of advice I can give is just be yourself. Don't try to emulate somebody else. Just do it because you like to do it. Don't, if you're doing it to make money, that's fine. I mean, you can get into it to make money, and I hope you do. I hope you get super popular, but most importantly, be true to yourself. Don't play games that you hate just because you think they'll give you a lot of views. Don't do things that are out of character for yourself. I mean, unless your whole plan is to be like a Dr. Disrespect, where you actually have like an act, where you're actually an actor and playing a role, that's totally fine. But most people don't do that. In fact, the biggest problem I see in the streaming world, I've seen people streaming for years, every day, not getting any views. And it's hard to watch them because they're so cringe and they're so toxic, you know? And if that's your personality, maybe streaming isn't for you. I mean, I hate to say it, but streaming isn't for everybody. And the market's super oversaturated. So if you don't like streaming, please don't do it. It'll just help people that actually do stream get more views. But if you really have your heart set on it, then just fucking be yourself, play games you want to play. Don't worry so much about your overlay and all that stuff. Just be yourself, interact with your community, and people will love it. And if that's not what you want, then do your own thing. Do your own thing. But most people can't say that they're the number one player in the game that they're playing. So it's kind of hard to make your stream come up just based on your skill. Like, for example, Shroud, zero personality. Love Shroud. Don't get me wrong. I fucking love Shroud. He's amazing. He seems like an amazing person, an amazing gamer.
Right.
But if he wasn't so good at gaming, I don't think his personality would really carry his streams.
Right.
That's a type of dude to do a 720 no scope and just be like, huh, and just keep playing. Like,
Right.
no, you got to do more than that. So
Yeah.
just get into it. Just do it for you. Don't worry about how many people are watching or how many people aren't watching. Do it because you love to do it, and don't worry about how many subscribers you have. Don't worry about how much money you make. Just do it to have fun. And play. I kind of hate to say this, but play a game you don't suck at, because no matter how good your personality is, most people don't want to watch you die every single time.
Yeah.
So play a game you like and that you're good at.
Yeah. So like I and that's what I tell people too if they come into the stream and they ask like, oh, like what advice would you give me? And I'm just like don't go into it for the money, because
Right.
as soon as you don't see the money, you're gonna quit.
Yeah.
So like if that's your main reason, then you're gonna end up quitting, because
Do it because you love to do it.
right, exactly. And then yeah, I mean, you gotta play what you're good at, right? And like, okay, and then it goes back to the, like you said something earlier about um like the game or whatever, and playing it for the views or something, right? Like
Right.
people like, what, why did you stop playing PUBG? And I'm like, well, I just wasn't having fun with PUBG anymore.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying? Like I love PUBG for what it was for the years that I played it, and people don't realize that I played it in 2017. So if I
On
played it
PC.
on
Yeah.
PC, so if I played it all the way up to 2020, that's a 3 year. Like usually games are old in 3 years. You know what I'm saying? And so like,
Oh, those are rookie numbers. I've been playing it since early access too.
but like I've gotten like I've I feel like, and this is just my personal opinion, I feel like PUBG, for all the money that it's made, it hasn't actually listened to the community. It hasn't really tried to update their game in any type of way. They're doing minimal things to their game, and I'm just like,
And they
what, I
always
can't.
have.
Right.
They always have, yeah.
And so I
It's
can't
not just a problem that the game is old now. It's they've always had that mentality about it.
right. And so I can't put like my blood, sweat, and tears into a game that's not giving me anything in return. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just like, and like I tell people, like, if I wanted to, like, I my channel has significantly dropped off because I stopped playing PUBG. But
Oh, that's
if I
like when I stopped playing Battlefield. When I stopped playing Battlefield and started playing PUBG, I went from having 700 or 800 stream viewers to having like 50. But I just wasn't feeling Battlefield anymore.
right, and so like I want to stay true to myself and play the games that I enjoy. And so like, even though I still enjoy jumping on with you and playing PUBG, it's not something that I can play on a daily basis.
That's
You know what
not
I'm
your
saying?
main thing anymore. Yeah,
Right.
it makes sense.
And
Yeah.
so yeah, I
I mean,
just
you're a fucking Fortnite fanboy now. So
first of all, okay, so speaking of Fortnite, Fortnite is basically it is kind of super people esque. Um so like they added a gun yesterday, I believe, or the day before, that, because it's all over the shoulder shooting, right? So it's like
yeah.
it's third person. I don't like that at all. But now they have
Well,
a
I
fully
was
auto
surprised that some
AR.
of the guns I picked up with actually had a reticle you could aim with, but most of
Yeah,
them are
yeah, but most of them are like either a sniper or like
like that
a
soft
burst
aim.
gun, or
Yeah.
yeah, or a single shot DMR type gun. But now they got a actual AR that's fully auto that you can aim down sights. So like,
OP.
yes, like I was just sitting there, like any gunfight I get into, I'm like, I'm about to tear this person up. I lost a couple gunfights, but I feel so much more confident in a gunfight when I can aim down sights, completely.
Well, those assault rifle, I've been watching your Fortnite streams, kind of lurking a little bit, and I see you get in these close range battles with an assault rifle. And like, it seems like in Fortnite, the shotgun, like, once you get within this close to each other, like, nobody uses assault rifles. They switch to a shotty and just have a shotgun battle, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed. I'm sure the meta will change because this whole no build thing has completely changed the way people play the game. It used to be when you got in close quarters, you just build, you know. But I caught on the first night we played. I caught on immediately. I was like, these assault rifles are fucking trash up close. So I'm just gonna use a shotgun, and I was wiping like 2 and 3 people at a time. They were probably all noobs and bots, but it was effective.
Right. Yeah, I think I did start using like I'll pick up like the drum shotty, and like where you it's basically an auto, right? Like you just hold it
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
And then like I've been getting more kills with the shotgun like that. But in any game, I've never been a shotgun person at all, even if
Oh,
it's
me
like
neither.
meta. So it's like
But
I
there
like
are certain games where you kind of like have to use the shotgun, you know, like
yeah.
I've never been I've never preferred to use a shotgun, but I've always recognized in certain games I play when it is a good idea to have that shotgun ready, you know.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I've been having fun. You should. I know you want to try it. I know you want to try it again. But it's
Well,
so.
you know,
It's like
it's not that I don't like Fortnite. It's that I'm kind of waiting for the next new thing. And a 5-year-old game that simply added a new mode just doesn't excite me that much. You know what I mean? Not
right.
enough for me to leave PUBG and start playing Fortnite. I mean, I would love to join in and play it with you guys every now and then, but that's probably as far as I'll take it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is all I got for you, man. I appreciate you taking time out of your day and hanging out and joining into the podcast. And
Oh, for
I
sure.
just want to
I'm gonna upload this before you to my channel and beat you to it. No, I'm kidding.
and I just want to say that it's an honor to have you on this podcast, and it's an honor to have you as a friend, like for real.
Oh, well, right back at you, man. I told my grandma today. I said I'm getting interviewed, and she said, "Oh, I'm impressed." I was like, you know what? Jewelz impresses me. You put in a lot of fucking work, man. You put in, I'm going to say you probably put in more work than I do. And I would love nothing more than to see you blow up. See you get more subscribers than me and more viewers than me and just fucking blow up. And maybe it's a conversation for another time about how oversaturated the streaming market is, but we should have that conversation sometime.
For sure. And we can do another podcast too.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
thank you, man. I appreciate you acknowledging the
I
hard work.
appreciate you having me on here, man.
Yeah.
Been fun.
All right. Well, let everybody know like your socials or and there might be some new people that aren't familiar with you, so let them know about your channels and everything like that.
Average Sniper on YouTube. You can literally just go into YouTube and search for Average Sniper. I'll pop right up. I have a Facebook group also called the Average Sniper that I haven't updated in years. So if you want to see old shit, go there. The only other social I do is Instagram. I don't do gaming stuff on Instagram. I do like just pictures and workout stuff and food stuff because I love food. So I'm Dude and Food 84 on Instagram. So pretty much just YouTube Average Sniper and Instagram Dude and Food 84. I'll see you guys there.
Cool. All right, y'all. If y'all enjoyed this, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe if you are new. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see y'all in the next one.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.